Hello again to all of my YouTube family and friends and to my many enemies. Once again, this is Roosevelt with another episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. This is Roosevelt Sounds Off Part 13. And as many of you all know, that I have been in a series. As a matter of fact, this is the fourth part of that series, entitled A Tale of Two Countries. Basically, what I was trying to teach according to this teaching that I have been trying to put out is that all of us here in America and all of us around the world should be all the same. It should not be one above the other. It shouldn't be one over another because you're rich, one over another because one is white, and the other one is black. Because we all deserve to have equal treatment under the law, and it should not be even woman over man or man over woman. But yet every single thing for everyone should be equal, because my foundational teaching came from the book of Mark, where I was attempting to teach according to the scripture that God has no respect to persons, for we are all accepted by him as long as we do his will. Okay, so that's basically what I was trying to teach with this teaching, is that if God has no respect to persons, us as normal, regular human beings should not have respect of people either. No, it's not supposed to be the same. It's all supposed to be the same. And I'm getting ready soon to get to the end of this series. But before I do, I just had to teach something that was unique to me. I had to talk about my situation and how it was growing up. I have to talk about, in this series it's going to be about, in this particular teaching it's going to be about, the disabled versus the so-called able-bodied. I say disabled because, as many of you all know who personally know me, know that I am disabled with legal blindness. I have, in the Latin term, is what they call retinitis pigmentosa. And the English term is retinal degeneration, which means that they always say that the retina in my eye will degenerate and go away to such a point. They talk about by the time I'm 50s or something, I could be completely blind. So I'm here to talk about how my life was growing up legally blind, and also growing up how it was with two blind parents and how we lived, and some of the struggles that we had to go through, and certain things that we had to deal with from certain people who just overall made certain things hard. And now that I'm 40 years old, and Lord willing, we'll be 41 in December, things have always been hard and just not been, always so good. But I got another scripture that I want to go to in the book of Leviticus, because this teaching comes from this particular book, because a whole lot of so-called able-bodied people, they just feel that they can just treat anybody just any old kind of way because somebody's blind or disabled. And in this scripture, it shows that you're not supposed to. So therefore, right now, I'm going to have my reader read the book from the book of Leviticus and begin at chapter 19, and we're going to pick it up at verse 14.
Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shalt fear thy God. I am the Lord.
Thank you for that reading of that word. I really appreciate it. You see, certain things that certain people do, whether they know it or not, could sometimes be a stumbling block in the way of the deaf and the blind and the disabled. Certain things that people say, whether they know it or not, could sometimes be a stumbling block in the way of the deaf, blind, and disabled. These kind of things should not be happening in this society. Now, growing up in school, I went to school basically when I was in, I'm going to start off when from first grade. In first grade, I went to school on the southeast side of Chicago in the Chicago public school system called Perry School. I was in what they would call a Sight Savers division. Don't worry about that. It's just the phone ringing. We're just going to let it ring, okay? So don't pay it no attention. And in this Sight Savers division, we had a teacher, and I just remember that I even had a bus attendant who was just like sometimes just like very mean. And it's like even in the Sight Savers division, and I had even regular classes like first and second grade classes with regular teachers. Sometimes the teachers would make things sometimes a little bit harder, sometimes. But I would definitely have to say, out of a whole lot of times of me being in school, the hardest time that I ever had was when I transferred from Perry School to Cole School in 1983. And I got in the fourth grade. And then my hardest time was most of all in the fifth grade under a teacher named Mr. Smith. Oh yes, for the very first time, I'm actually going to reveal what this man did or how this man carried on. This man gave me the hardest time ever. I mean, sometimes, he would pick with me in class almost much more than the other students would even pick with me. He would even call me in front of my face and in front of the whole student body, sometimes call me a nerd. He even broke down what a nerd was one time on the chalkboard. He told the students, well, you see, students, Roosevelt here is what we would call a nerd. Now, he went to the chalkboard. Back in my day, we used to call it a geek, or sometimes we used to call it square. This is what he did. Even drew a picture of what a nerd was. Someone who wore big glasses. Someone who had a pocket protector with pins and this kind of thing in it. Plus he also treated me somewhat differently. All because I was visually impaired. Telling me, he had the nerve enough to tell me that where I couldn't go off of school grounds. What I mean is that back then, because I think that even schools today even have it, that there was a candy store around our school, and it was basically put together by a pastor named Reverend Watts. Never forget him. And all the students, all of us used to go in there into this candy store sometimes and play the little arcade games, back then, if you all remember, if you're my age, if you're anything like me, I'm pretty sure you remember the old Donkey Kong or the old Frogger or the old Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man or Pac-Man Jr. or the Popeye game and that kind of thing. And of course there's a pinball machine, and you could get candy and potato chips and pickles. Lord have mercy. That's some of that stuff is just bringing back some memories, but yet I digress. It brings back some memories because some of that was maybe the happiest time of my life. Until Mr. Smith just got wind of me going there, all because I'm visually impaired. He acted like I wasn't supposed to go there. And he said that he always instructed the students to tell on me so I could get in trouble if they were to catch me in this store. Even though all the other students could go there, I was singled out on how not to go there. Just being mean. And I told my mother and everything about it, and my mother wanted to go up there and talk to Mr. Smith and even talk to the owner of the candy store, Reverend Watts. In the morning, I took my mother up there. There was one boy from my class named Edward who saw me. Oh, Roosevelt, you know what Mr. Smith said. You ain't supposed to be in this store. But yet he saw my mother. He didn't say another word. And my mother said that I heard my mother talk to Reverend Watts, and Reverend Watts said that I was never a problem, that all the neighborhood kids and all the kids and stuff from our school came in there, so it wasn't an issue, it wasn't a problem. It's just Mr. Smith who had the problem and treated me like I'm just different. Even when I was bullied, he would take part in it. And even one time, I remember this incident vividly. Even one time in class when I was lied on, he took up for the other person who lied on me. What happened was there was one girl in our class named Ramon, and Ramon was walking around me the whole day or two telling me to suck her you-know-what. Only thing I used to just say was, silly girl, you don't even have a male private part. What are you talking about, man? For real? She just kept on saying it all day long to me. Suck my suck my And then one time she passed my desk, told me to eat her you know what. And then one day when we were going back for lunch, she lies and tells Mr. Smith that I'm the one who's telling her that. Now Mr. Smith calls me up to the front of the line and he wraps his hand around my arm here. And then these are the words that he said to me. Roosevelt, I am not going to hurt you that badly as long as you tell me the truth. Now, Roosevelt, did you say this nasty thing to Ramon? I'm like, no, I didn't say that. You're lying, Roosevelt. Then he got tighter on my arm. Roosevelt, I'm going to ask you again. Did you say that to Ramon? I'm like, no, I didn't say anything. You're lying, Roosevelt. Then he went to my other part of my arm. And this time he had taken his fingers and did like that. You know, in a pinching motion. It was up to like, look, Roosevelt, I want the truth. Did you say that? I'm like, no, I didn't say that. He started pinching me harder. He's like, Roosevelt, I want the truth. You know I hate it when people lie to me. Listen to me, Roosevelt. You're making me angry. I'm getting angry, Roosevelt. I'm getting angrier by the second. And then in the end, when I said I didn't do it, he starts pinching me and then he twists the pinch. And he starts walking faster and holds it. Then the only thing that got him up off of me was when we got back to class. There was one boy in class. Even though the whole class knows I didn't do it. There was one boy who had the courage to speak up named Asmar Johnson. Never will forget him. Who actually went to Mr. Smith and said that I didn't ever say that. And then here go Mr. Smith talking about, oh, Ramon, I can't believe you went and lied on this boy. I can't believe it. After he did whatever it was that he did. Without looking into all of the facts of every single thing. So no, I felt that I was singled out by this man. And then at the end of my 5th grade year, he chooses to fail me. So I had to repeat the 5th grade all over again. This is the problem, I think, within the Chicago public school system. That every single day, especially in Cole's school, I had to protect my behind every single day. Because every single day, I get jumped on every single day. I had bullies of all kinds. Matter of fact, some of my friends out there on Facebook, some of you all are my former bullies. Yeah. You all thought that now that we're grown and, you know, I'm grown and everything that I would have forgotten, right? No, I didn't forget. Trust me, not planning on forgetting. You're not supposed to carry on like this and do these things and make things hard. I would have been graduating in 1988. But instead, because of this, I didn't graduate until June of 1989. And I just think that it's something that's just very, very bad. That I feel more, singled out much more than anything. Because I'm a visually impaired person in the class with all these regular, able-bodied people. Every single day it was something. And a whole lot of times, a whole lot of teachers and all that kind of stuff, even administration within the school, didn't come to my rescue. Didn't really try to always help. Didn't always try to help at all. Matter of fact, teachers and administration sometimes only made things worse. Even when my parents tried to fight for me, in the end, only they made things worse. And when I got into high school, sometimes some of the same stuff continued. I still had bullies, but yet I was even in a sight savers class in high school. And when it came time for my sophomore year, I wanted to pick out a major. And I really, really wanted to major in radio, TV. But at the time, my special ed teacher is up there telling me when he's supposed to be, I think, encouraging me to go into whatever to fulfill my dreams, he goes behind my back and picks a major for me. It tells me that there's no place for visually impaired and blind people in radio and TV. So me and my mother, we got together along with the school guidance counselor, and we actually had to fight for weeks just to get my major changed. And in the end, I had to suffer there because my major wasn't changed. The school year started around September. And my major didn't really get changed to almost November. They made me responsible, once I did get over into the radio TV class 1, to do every single homework assignment and regular work assignment from September all the way up through October to November. Even though I started the class late and it wasn't my fault, I was still responsible for every single homework assignment in radio TV class. And it was all because I feel that a whole lot of people just dropped the ball. But of course, maybe some of my stories are nothing. Maybe a whole lot of you all are saying, Roosevelt, some of these stories or some of these things and stuff that you're saying is just so petty. Okay, maybe so. So let's go back to even certain things that my parents endured. My father and my mother, Roosevelt Sr. and Elizabeth Slaughter, who've been married coming up on this Sunday for 45 years, which is a feat that many of you all out there, since a whole lot of you younger people don't know how to stay together. Some of you all, they've been married 45 years. Some of you younger idiots out there probably can't stay with somebody 45 seconds compared to 45 years. But yet I digress. Certain things that they have gone through. Being discriminated against, being talked down on. My mother told me that when she was in school, her father had to fight for her with a teacher. When my father was 6 or 7 years old, my father always knew, that he wanted to play the piano. His grandparents and certain people in his family, which, his family's from Mississippi, told him that he wouldn't be able to really do it. But he always had a dream, always had a goal. And one thing is, he never gave up on his dream and his goal no matter what anybody said. But certain people just made certain things hard. Because sometimes whenever you're visually impaired, a whole lot of times, people, they want to look at you and treat you like you're less than. When my father played an organ at the church I was baptized in as a little boy, it's like when other workers in the church got promotions and got vacations, even got raises, this kind of stuff, they would never include my father in on a raise or anything. Matter of fact, they'd have secret meetings where every single body who's on the church staff would get a raise, every single body except my father, and he was considered to be the minister of music. And even with, my mother, always, certain things always happened. Even though my mother in the late 1970s, she was blessed to start a greeting card business for the blind and visually impaired, which was named Slaughter Enterprises. She came up with a logo and all of that. And even one of her friends was trying to steal that and everything from her. So much was just taken. And this kind of thing is not supposed to be. My mother has been involved in 3 to 4 civil rights lawsuits, all because people discriminated, all because she was visually impaired. My mother has a teaching license. Can actually teach probably in any kind of school that she wants to. She tried to go to Chicago public schools to try to find a job. Even tried to go within the Nation of Islam to try to find a job as a teacher in the Muhammad University. But completely denied. But right now, if she's ready to do it, I'm going to have my reader read some unemployment statistics for visually impaired people. Because I do have some unemployment statistics for visually impaired people. So, honey, anytime you're ready, do you have that? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show, when she reads this thing, that this is going to open a whole lot of you all's eyes, that whether you're educated or not, as long as you're visually impaired, the ratio of unemployment among the blind is much higher than it is among anyone else of any other disability.
Each month, the U.S. Department of Labor issues a report on the unemployment rate for the previous month. Over the past few years, that rate has ranged from 4.2% to 6.1%.
Mm-hmm.
If we accept 70% as an accurate figure for the unemployment rate of blind people, then the ratio between the Labor Department rate for the general population and the claim rate for blind will be anywhere between 11.5 to 16.7 times higher for the blind.
Now you see, you heard that? These are statistics that are on the internet that many of you all think that I'm going around making this stuff up. A whole lot of you all could, if you wanted to really bother to read and do some research, you all could read these things for yourself. Because it also says in the Bible that, you're supposed to study to show yourself approved, a workman, never being ashamed, rightfully dividing the word of truth. And I would have to say that I don't think that that only means to study the Bible. I think that it means to study some of these things that are going on in society today. This kind of stuff is going on in society today. This kind of stuff is really happening. I mean, it affects me even now, even with people who I've dated. Because I got people who I've dated, they tell me, one girl telling me, because I am able to see still quite a bit. I mean, I used to ride home from work and everything on my bike. She's up there going to tell me, man, you can't hardly see what you're doing riding home on a bike at night. And then going to tell me that I can't ride home on a bike. I'm a grown man. How you going to get up and tell me anything? I get so tired of people all the time butting their nose in where it really doesn't belong. They could try to, they think that I'm so broken down, think that I can't do anything. Everybody, they just want to rush and do every single thing for me when I don't even need that help. But if this is something that I do need, and any kind of help I do need, that's the time a whole lot of people can't be found. You look for them and they can't be found any place. And that's the time when they won't help. But any other time, when they want to butt into my business, oh, that's the time that they're always there to interject their opinion and do all of this and do all of that and just say whatever they want to. And I get so tired of some of you all out there, some of you all even who I know, acting like I'm not supposed to have a life, or acting like I'm not supposed to have anything or something that I enjoy, all because I'm visually impaired. I had somebody tell me back in high school, oh, Roosevelt, how can you date or go with anybody? How can you even have sex with anybody? Man, boy, you probably sticking it in her ear thinking it was her something else. How can I do that when that's just instantly something, if you got any kind of common sense, that you know exactly where to put it? And come on, to all of you all out there, and y'all know that I'm about to really, really tell the truth, that all of us is blind when we get into bed with that special somebody and take off our clothes and turn off the lights. Come on now, for God's sake. Even Ray Charles made the song, "The Nighttime is the Right Time." And Wilson Pickett made the song, "I'm Gonna Wait Till the Midnight Hour." And I don't think when the midnight hour is, I don't think that he was talking about 12 o'clock high noon when the sun is rising high in the air. No, the midnight hour is going to be at night. Huh. I could do almost anything else anybody else can do. Yeah, I admit I could be limited on some things. But that's just with all of us. How can you tell me that I can't go out and everything because of this thing? And now, a few Roosevelt Sounds Off ago, I talked about a girl who I used to date. And even when I talked about this girl I used to date, it's something that she did that, now that I think about it, irritates the living crap out of me. She used to make me leave her house at 9:30, almost 10 at night. Because she's up there saying, oh, no, you're visually impaired. You can't be out there late at night. You ain't supposed to be out here late at night. She pushed me out the door at around 9:30. Talking about, well, something could happen to you. Living in this society, something could happen to any one of us at any time. Sometimes I don't always worry, because one thing I know is that I know that all of me and all of us have angels all around us. There's even a song that says, I have angels watching over me. For many of y'all who, are gospel music fans. I got God. I got angels watching all over me. I'm going to be okay. And even if something were to happen, that it could just be God's will. Because one thing about it, when it's your time to go, it's just going to be your time to go. There's nothing that you can do about it. I was in a funeral earlier this week, and the sermon or the eulogy or the name of the eulogy that the pastor was preaching from, he called it an appointment we all have to keep. He's basically teaching that in life, we can make doctor's appointments, we can make appointments to see our friends and family, and sometimes we make some of these appointments, we get some of these appointments we cancel out on and don't make or whatever. But the appointment of death, that's an appointment, like it or not, we all are going to have to keep. Death is going to meet all of us, someplace, somehow, and somewhere. He said something that was very important, that some people, death could meet them when they're standing on the bus stop, waiting on the bus. Some other people, death could meet them in an airplane. Some other people could be just driving along on the expressway in their car, going in to visit grandmama's house, and death would just meet you on the highway. Anything can happen to any one of us at any time. If these people knew that death could meet them at any place, any time, anywhere, I'm pretty sure a whole lot of these people wouldn't be there. So his remedy, which is, I think, is very, very good. He says that sometimes you cannot think of all of these things as to where death could meet you. Because if you had to take the time to think about all of these things, you would never do anything in life. You would never go anywhere in life. You would never even enjoy life if you had to think of all the times that death could meet you. The best thing he said to do, and I concur, is just to enjoy life. Enjoy your friends, enjoy your family. For all of y'all who have children, even enjoy your children. I mean, in life, that's what it's all about. That's what it is. Just enjoying one another. What God has given to you. And what God has allowed you to have. And even if you do have to meet death, you just better know that you are ready, or you should be ready, to meet him at any time. That's by you have to know, and you know by, first of all, repenting of any kind of sin or wrongdoing, accepting Jesus, getting reconnected with God, changing your heart and changing your mind and changing your life. This is what it's all about. Just enjoying life. It's staying within the freedom and within the will of God. Not staying at home and everything all the time because you're too afraid that something's going to happen to you. That's no kind of way to walk around in fear. I even got a friend of mine. When we're coming from church, I wanted to go to this McDonald's on one of our streets here in Chicago. He wouldn't drop me off at this McDonald's, saying that, oh man, there's too many thugs that hang around in there. Something could happen to you there. I mean, I guess a whole lot of times I know something. I mean, I know that certain things sometimes can happen, but sometimes I guess that I just don't always think of it. Because like I said, if you had to think about all of this stuff that can go on to you, I mean, you'd almost be crazy. If you actually had to take the time to think about all of these things. And he would not drop me off at the McDonald's. He took me to another one that's in a quote-unquote safer area. Even though it put me a little bit further away from, at the time, you know, like where I needed to be. But, you know, I was cool with it. I mean, plus, if I have a woman too, I don't want a woman to, you know, be with me all because they pity me or could feel sorry for me, or women who want to just take care of me because they think that I'm completely fragile. But no, accept me as a human being like, you know, I would accept you. Love me like I'm a human being, just like I would love you. I mean, that's all I want from anybody. I mean, because if you have to take some of us blind people I mean, we're human. This is something that I want to hammer home to all of you all. And I'm about to do this, and I'm about to let it go, okay? Summary. That even though that we have been through certain things, that we're not supposed to let these things get us down, and we're not supposed to deal with people who put us down. And people aren't supposed to put us down. I mean, whenever you all talk to us, some of you all talk down to us. Some of you all talk over our heads. Some of you all talk to us like we have a mental problem, because it's a common misconception in the able-bodied community. If you're dealing with somebody who's blind or disabled, that you're already dealing, they think that you're already stupid in the first place. So no, if you talk to me, talk to me. Talk to me in a normal way. Don't talk down to me. Don't talk over me. No, just talk to me. Tell me what it is that you are trying to say. I'll get it. Now, if you have to look at us blind and legally blind and disabled people, I mean, we're human and we're people just like you are. Some of us are educated. Some of us are not educated. Some of us are we're just like we're people. I mean, we are sons, we're daughters. I mean, we're friends, companions, lovers, husbands, wives. Even some of us could even be friends with benefits. For all y'all who catch my drift. We're your doctors and lawyers and neighbors and fellow church members, fellow choir members, fellow ushers, fellow lodge members, fellow fraternity and sorority and chapter members. Some of us secretly could even be, because, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't let a person like this on the department if they completely knew it, secretly could even be members of your police and fire department. Some of us could be your lawyers. Some of us could be your judges. Some of us could even be your preachers and teachers and missionaries and evangelists and pastors. Yeah. Some of us work. Some of us don't. But whatever it is that we do, bear in mind that we are human and deserve to be treated fairly, just like you. I've been teaching a tale of two countries. It should not be a tale of two countries. We are all in one America, under one land. We are supposed to be one people. Keep in mind that we are all one in, first of all, in Christ. And second of all, that Jesus, he said it in his word in the book of Mark in the New Testament, that God has no respecter of persons. For we are all accepted by him as long as you are doing his will. We're accepted with him. And as long as we are all accepted with God, then we should all be acceptable with one Amen. Thank you for watching this episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off, A Tale of Two Countries, Part 4. I appreciate you all watching. I appreciate you all listening. And if anybody has any kind of comments or anything, be sure to hit me up in the comment box on YouTube, or for all my Facebook friends, hit me up in the comment box on Facebook or whatever. And I guess I'll see you all next time with another episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. And I hope that you all are going to be well and be blessed. Thank you.